If you build websites for clients, handing the site over to them in its default style can look a little unprofessional. So with the ugly WordPress dashboard, boring login page, and very unhelpful layout, there's a lot that can be done to make things a much better place. In this video on how to deliver a website to a client, I'll show you exactly how I make the WordPress dashboard a truly useful place, as well as a couple of other suggestions to provide the perfect onboarding experience for your new client. So let's start things off with the login page. Now the WordPress login page hasn't really changed in a very long time, and making this first part of your client's journey a more welcoming and more branded place to be can raise the client's expectations on what they'll see next. Now there are lots of options for customizing the WordPress login page, and today we'll be using a free tool called LoginPress. Now, while there are lots of tools available for you to create your own custom login for WordPress, the tool I tend to use is LoginPress. I've got the free and the pro version. As long as you don't mind having a limit on the designs you can pick from, the free version should be perfectly fine, and at least it gives you the ability to create that more unique branded appearance for your clients when they log in. One of the first things they're going to see when they actually go into the dashboard side of things. So I'm going to quickly log in and show you how easy it is to create something like this. Once logged in, to access the plugin, once you've installed it, is to simply come over to the customizer. So into Appearance and into Customize, and you'll have a new section inside there, no matter what theme you're using, called LoginPress. We can open that up and you can see we've got all the different options inside here to customize everything. So the themes, you can see we don't have a lot of options. We literally have one or two on the free version, but the pro version will give you access to all of these, and they are just a starting point. So when you select it, you can configure all of the other aspects of that design. So if we choose that, you can easily come back out of this then and start to customize everything. So you can add your own custom logo inside there and configure all that. You can set backgrounds, so you can see I've got an image inside there that's part of the actual property itself. You can control all those aspects. It's really, really easy to work with. And if you want to get in and customize this, you can drop in custom CSS, custom JavaScript, and a whole host of other things. Now, some of these are locked in the free version, but the pro version obviously unlocks everything. But I just think it's a great starting point that just opens up a more professional landing point for when the client tries to log in. You give them something that's branded, and it looks a lot less WordPress-like. So the next thing we need to tackle is the normal or default WordPress dashboard. At first glance, this is pretty full of useless information that most clients really have zero interest in. And we have a little bit of housekeeping to do though to remove the majority of the fluff that's really not needed by anybody. To do this, we have to do a little bit of code editing, but don't worry, it's pretty painless, and I've created a full detailed tutorial on how to do all of this. In this video though, I'll just go over it quickly, but if you need more information on the process, check out the link in the video description, and also pop a link in the corner right now, so you can check that out once you finish this video. So your typical WordPress dashboard looks pretty much like this. Lots and lots of pretty useless tabs and panels and just annoying things that do nothing for most people. To get rid of it isn't as complex as it sounds, and I'll put the code to this in the details below, so you can have a link through to that, and also to the video tutorial that shows you how to do this in a little more detail to give you more control over it and how to make the process easier moving forward if you do this for a lot of client websites. That being said, what we need to do is get access to the functions.php file for our particular theme. For this example, I'm going to be using SiteGround and the file manager as part of SiteGround itself. So what I need to do is find the site that I'm working on, open up the public HTML folder, and from there we want to go into the WP content, into themes, and open up the themes folder for the active theme and look in there for the functions.php file. All we need to do then is simply edit that file. We're going to come right down to the bottom, underneath anything that's already there, make a little bit of space, and we're going to drop in this little block of code. And this is going to remove the various different panels. Now you may not have all of these, and there are lots of information online about the different remove meta box tags that can be available for various different things, but this should cater for pretty much most of what you want, including Elementor if you're using it. But obviously, you may need to remove a few things from here if you don't have them as part of your setup. Once you've done that, we simply need to save this. We're going to go back then to our dashboard. And inside our dashboard, we'll just refresh this, and you should find all of those are now gone. So we're now ready to move on to create our custom dashboard using Elementor and create something a lot more useful for our users and clients. Now, once all that's out of the way, we'll need to create our custom dashboard using Elementor and another free plugin called Dashboard Welcome for Elementor. Now, this awesome free plugin simply allows us to use the ease of Elementor templates to replace or add new panels to the dashboard. So this means we can add in all manner of super useful items to a custom dashboard and make this often ignored section of the site a truly useful place for our new client. So let me just quickly show you what I'm talking about. This is a client's custom dashboard, and as you can see, it's a much nicer place when you log in. It's more focused, it's more user-friendly, and allows the end user to actually do what they need to do. So these are kind of tied in to some of the key features for this particular website. So they can manage their availability calendars, they can edit pages, manage their media and their profile and so on. And then we'd also come down, there's a tutorial on how to use that specific calendar tool set. And also there's an immediate way that they can just drop me an email without having to worry too much about anything. And these are really super simple to create if you're using something like Elementor and a free plugin, which is called Dashboard Welcome for Elementor. So I'm going to quickly run you through how you'd create something like this. And then you can get as creative as you want to provide a much more focused dashboard for your clients. So go ahead, download and install Dashboard Welcome for Elementor. Once that's done, we're going to head over into the templates section and into Save Templates. And here you can create a new page template and you can use this for your own custom dashboard. Now I've already done this and I've created a template and exported that. So if you want access to this, I'll put a link in the description below so you can grab a copy of this and use it as the basis for your custom dashboards or just see what I've done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import this template. I'm simply going to just drag and drop that into my template section, let that upload, and then we'll have a new template. Once that's finished, you can see there's our dashboard template clean. And if we edit that now with Elementor, we'll see exactly what's going on there. And it's an identical duplicate of what you've seen on my live client site. So everything is all set up inside there. And obviously, like I say, you can tweak this to your heart's content to do what you want with it. So once you've created this, or if you use this, all you need to do is relink any of these icons, the titles and the buttons to whatever relevant section you want inside the WordPress dashboard. Simply open those pages up, copy the link, and you can see it's going to be easy to do. So once you've done that and you've created your entire template for your dashboard, the next thing we need to do is assign this. To do that, we simply head over to the settings section and come into Dashboard Welcome. And from there, we can set up what different template is going to be used for any of the different user roles. So you could, if you wanted to, create a much more customized one for administrators, a simplified version for editors, even more simplified for authors and so on. So you can customize this to your heart's content. And then you simply choose the template you want to assign to any of these roles and just check to say whether it's a dismissible panel or not. I would recommend you don't set it as dismissible because, like I say, this is the first thing you're going to see. So what I tend to do is I leave this as a permanent panel and just get rid of all the other junk that's not really needed. So what we can do is we can set this up and just choose any of the templates that we've got set up. And I'm going to set the same one to all of these and hit Save Changes. And if we just head back over to our dashboard and go home, we should then see there's our custom dashboard all set up. Underneath, we've still got all the normal panels, which we can use either plugins or we can use a little bit of code to remove those. And I've created a video on exactly how I do that. So if you're interested in finding out how to close all these panels out, I'll put a link in the description so you can check out that video. Now, if for any reason you don't see this panel, all you need to do is go to the screen options at the top and just check the welcome option, and that will then display it. But you now have a fully customized dashboard panel. And this is, like I say, something I set up for my clients because it makes a much more structured, much more welcoming way of them just doing what they need to do. And if I want to strip out any of the other options on the left-hand side, I can do exactly that as well. Now, really, will you want to let your client have total unfettered freedom on the website? And for this, we can take advantage of the user roles in WordPress. Now, generally, setting your user as an editor will give them enough freedom to manage the content of the website. You can also take advantage of these user roles to manage other aspects of the website admin. So for example, as we just saw in the previous section, you can set up a different dashboard for different user roles. So to set up user access roles is really easy inside WordPress. You can either set it up when you create a new user for your client, or you can set it up retrospectively once you've set that up for any of your clients' accounts. So to do it, we need to go into users, and for this example, we're going to say add new, but you could do all users, and that'll show you a list of all the users, at which point you could then configure it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new username. So we're going to call this sample user. We'll drop in an email. It doesn't really matter what we're going to use here. And we can set up any other details we want, password and so on. We're going to uncheck this because I don't want to send this to my new user. But what we're interested in is the role option. Now you can see by default, subscriber is the level that's going to be applied with this new
user. We're just going to change that for this example to editor. Now, each of the different roles have different access levels to what they can see and what they can do inside the dashboard of WordPress. The editor kind of gives them access to the most things, except for an admin, which has access to everything like all the tools and the settings and so on. So editor is generally what I would set my clients up as. And if I needed to fine tune and tweak that to give them access to certain things and no access to other things that are part of the default editor setup, well, you can do that with a range of different plugins. But for most users, editor is perfectly fine. We'll simply click on add user, and that will now add a new user in for us. And as you can see, if we look at all the users, we've got all the details, including their user role. Now, if you want to retrospectively set this, so you may already have accounts set up for your clients and you want to change that level, all you need to do is come in and edit any of the users. And from there, we can come down and we can update their user role. So you can see currently it's set to role of editor, but we could change that, for example, to author. And we'll just say update the user. And now we go and take a look at all our users. It's been set to author. So setting your client's user level will dictate what they can and can't access. And as you can see, it's really easy to set those kinds of things up before you actually hand the details off to a client.
Now, by default, the editor role has access to the key aspects and tools of the site, but they may also want to add in more control over exactly what they can see and do. Now, for example, if like me using Elementor to build a website, you can configure exactly how that works for any given user role. So let's take a look at how I can configure how much access a given client has to make changes to the design that I've created for them.
So configuring what access any particular user group or user role has when it comes to working with Elementor is also pretty easy. All we need to do is come into Elementor and down to the role manager. And from there, we can set up any of the roles that we have available except for the admin, because admin has full access no matter what. So now all I need to do is just change what any particular user group can do. So the editor is what we're using for our test sample client. What I'm going to do is change this, and you can see we've got two options: no access to editor, so they can't edit anything, or access to edit content only. Now, depending upon your client, you may want to give them full access, or you may want to give them no access, or as you can see, partial access. So let's take a look. Let's just set this to edit content only, and we'll save those changes. And then I'll open up a test window in an incognito window, logged in as the client, so you can see how this works. So I'm in the dashboard. You can see I'm logged in as my test user, my client user, and we're going to come into the pages section or the post section, whichever you want to edit. We're going to check all posts, and we're going to edit this user roles one with Elementor. So we'll open that up. Once we've done that, we can then take a look. So now I can easily come in and I can make changes to this. So we can say whatever I want. And you can see I can make changes and I can publish those changes. So I can directly edit the content. That's no problem at all. But what I can't do is add any new widgets in. You can see all these are locked to me. So your client can access only the content that's currently on the page. So you could create a design layout and then they can come in and make any tweaks they want to the content, all those kinds of good things from anything that's already on the page, but you can't actually come in and edit various different aspects. So you lock out what they can and can't do. So that's a good way of doing things if you want to restrict access. Now, obviously, if you wanted to restrict access totally, you can also do that as well. So I'm quickly going to change the role access. So I'm jump back in now to my dashboard as myself, as my administrator. I'm going to go to the editor option, uncheck that and say no access to the editor. We'll save those changes and just go back and log in as the client a second time. And now you can see if we take a look at the post or the pages or anything, I have no longer any kind of access to Elementor. It doesn't appear inside the editor. It doesn't appear if we go into user roles into that particular page. I can't edit this with Elementor whatsoever. So that's completely locked out to the client if you want to do that. And again, based upon whatever user role you set up. Generally for me, with the clients that I work with, I tend to give them access to Elementor because most of them have had training on how to do it. But if you, like I say, you want to restrict that, then you have full control over doing those kinds of things as part of Elementor setup.
Now, as with most cases, this is a guide, and I have some clients who want full access and are more than comfortable making changes, adding new pages, and much more. In those cases, I simply leave them with full access so they can manage their entire site exactly as they need to. Now, you may have noticed when I showed you the custom WordPress dashboard that I built with Elementor, it had a section with a video embedded into the page. If I have a client that is new to work with Elementor, WordPress or WooCommerce, I can easily create a tutorial video or a series of shorter bite-sized tutorials and make those available directly inside their new custom dashboard. So this can easily give them access to help and support without needing to go searching for help or contacting me with questions I may have already answered or things they may have forgotten and need a quick and simple reminder on. So having a tutorial that is exclusive to their website adds a certain level of polish to the whole experience and can certainly help set you apart from your peers and raise the quality of services you're providing to your clients. Even if you're not too comfortable speaking on camera, you can easily just create some simple screen capture video and add either a voiceover or annotate the video to show exactly what needs to be done.
As you can see, inside the dashboard on the welcome section, right at the beginning, there's help videos on various different things. Now for this example, it's only on one key feature because that's the only thing the client really wants to manage and update themselves. So what I do is I'll create a video in much the same way as I do creating these YouTube videos. The only difference being I just do a screen recording as opposed to putting myself on there. But what it does is it gives a nice way of creating something unique for your clients that gives them peace of mind knowing that if they're trying to do something and they're not too sure, they just need a refresher, you've created a tutorial on exactly how to do it. Now, not everybody's comfortable doing this kind of thing, but there's lots of ways you could do it without actually putting yourself, even your voice, on screen. You could just simply do a screen capture and annotate it. Now, there are a couple of tools that you could take a look at, and I've used most of these and do use most of these in my day-to-day creation of any kind of video like this. And then I'll just upload it to YouTube, set it as a hidden video so no one will see it, and that way it's there when I need to use it. I can embed it wherever I want, and no one's going to accidentally find this. Now, it's really easy when you're working with YouTube. You can just upload any video you want to your account, and you can create more than one account if you want to. I've got one set up for my business, which means that I can focus on just primarily putting clients' content up onto that channel and just then set them as unlisted. As you can see, it's just set as an unlisted video. I can copy that link and then I can just paste that into any kind of way of embedding the video, in this case in Elementor. Really, really easy. Now, there's a couple of tools, like I say, that I would recommend using. The one that I use is Camtasia Screen Recorder and Video Editor. Now, this is not a cheap piece of software, but if you're working with a lot of clients, this does make the process of creating these interactive videos, these educational videos, whatever you want to include in them, way easier. The editor itself is very quick, very intuitive to put together. You can apply zooms and annotations and blur things out and all manner of different things to make your video tutorials, your information videos, just way more professional than you could do with maybe a free option. If that works out a little too expensive, which in a lot of cases it would do, the other one I'd recommend taking a look at is Movavi Screen Capture. Works in a very similar fashion to the screen capture tool inside Camtasia. So if you've ever used that on a demo or anything, you'll feel familiar with this, but it is very simple to set up. That's the other one that I would recommend using, and this is pretty cheap, and they regularly have 30, 40, 50% off on purchasing these or upgrades and so on. Very cool piece of software and one I've used for several years myself. If pay-in is something that's out the window, then I would recommend taking a look at Loom. Now, you can use Loom to record videos. You can put sort of annotated videos on there. You can put your overlay videos of yourself, screen captures, all those kinds of things. It's pretty much free to do those kinds of things if you want to. Then you can edit that, upload it up to YouTube, set it as unlisted, and then embed that into your dashboard inside your client's website. Whatever method you use, though, I think it is one of those things that's really cool to just help set you apart from a lot of other ones that just create a site, put it up online, and then let the client get on with things.
So next on the list is providing site management, backups, and uptime monitoring to ensure that my client's website is always up to date and running smoothly. Now, while you can do some of this manually, it makes much more sense to have a system in place to make things easier on you and smoother for the client. In my case, I use a combination of tools to manage client sites. Now, there are several tools available, some free and self-hosted, and others that provide the basics for free and then charge for additional services like uptime monitoring. Personally, I use MainWP as my foundation of my client management setup, but you could also look at ManageWP, which provides the basics for free, but if you want things like uptime monitoring and backups, you will need to pay on a per site basis. Now, with MainWP, I also use WP Vivid Backup Pro to make regular backups of sites, and WP Reset to take snapshots prior to an update of plugins or themes. Finally, I also have a couple of tools that I use for uptime monitoring services. Now, if you want a free option for up to 50 sites, you can use Uptime Robot. The nice thing about Uptime Robot is that it integrates directly with main WP, so everything is integrated into one single place.
Now, the tool that I use is main WP alongside a couple of other tools that you can use. Main WP itself is free, and you just need to have somewhere to host it, either online or you could set it up on a local machine if you wanted to, using something like Local by Flywheel, and then you can have an added level of security on there. Whatever method you want to use, though, it's good to have something like this set up. The other alternative is a tool like Manage WP, and I've used this in the past, and it's a very good tool for doing some of the basic things like just checking for updates, running updates, and so on. The only downside is that when you want to introduce things like backups and things like that, you have to pay per site. Now, this is fine if you pass in the cost onto your client, which ultimately you should be doing in one way or another, but it is one of those things to bear in mind that it is something that you do have incremental fees. The more sites you have, the more the clients you have, the more features you want to use, the more it costs you. But for basic, if you don't want to do that kind of thing, you want to have backups monitored somewhere else and uptime and things like that, then Manage WP may be the perfect service for you. But like I say, what I've got is I've got main WP set up, and this is the kind of thing that you would see when you've logged in. You can see, we can tell all the different site updates that are available, what plugins are updated or what plugins need to be updated, what themes, translations, anything like that. Any core WordPress updates, we can manage that inside here. I can also do things like manage uptime, I can manage backups, I can do all those kinds of useful things inside main WP using a couple of tools, most of which you can use free versions. So if you wanted to run backups, you could use something along the lines of WP Vivid Backup. The free version gives you most of what you may need to run this. The pro version has some extra features which personally I think are absolutely invaluable, and they've something that I purchased myself over the last year or so to integrate that into my site maintenance to maintain my clients' sites. But all you need to do is simply go to the site that you want, install the free plugin that links it through, follow the little setup routine, and then you can connect that to your main WP account. And again, if you want to see how to do this and how my entire setup is all configured, I'll put a link to that video in the description below so you can take a look. And then if you want to, you can see exactly how my setup works, and you can emulate it yourself if you wanted to as well. But just making sure that part of my process of launching a client site is that they are tied into my main WP account. I can then monitor this site, monitor uptime, all the things that I need to do to make sure that the client site is online as much as possible, and if there's ever a problem, I'm notified almost immediately, and I can just manage updates and things without the need to log into the client's dashboard time and time again. Worth its weight in gold for me.
Now, not every client wants to manage every single aspect of this site, and this is where they have the option to take out a website maintenance plan. This lets them use my time at a reduced rate over a 12-month period. Now, some clients want me to handle the whole aspect of their website, while others are more than happy to have a combination, or just to know that I'm there to sort out any issues that they may encounter when working on their website. Whatever the reason though, the option can easily be factored into my launching process. So that's the overview of the process that I've got for onboarding a new client when I hand off the site to them. But is this something that you use yourself? Do you have an onboarding process for new clients? If so, let me know in the comment section below what you do, the tools you use, and how you'll go about it. If you're new to working with clients or new to working with an onboarding process, has this video opened any sort of suggestions and ideas to help you do just that? Let me know again in the comment section. Now, as always, all of the applicable links for everything I've covered, all the tools, the plugins, the videos, and everything else, all in the description below. If you enjoyed the video, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. My name's been Paul C. This has been WPTuts, and until next time, take care.